Show. Welcome to the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, Bodkins. It is our big UFC 276 pre-show. Good morning. Hope everybody's got their coffee ready because we're going to break it down tonight's fights for you. We're going to talk our picks. We're going to talk a little bit of John Jones situation here. We are going to have a big announcement at the end of the show. So if you're watching on anything other, head over to the YouTube, give us a nice little subscribe and like if you could. So as always, he was able to break out of the hooker's basement today and join us for the pre-show. Craig Koger is joining us for our UFC pre-show, and he survived divorce court after betting all his money last UFC. Mr. Smoking Amigo Kenny Miller has joined us as well. Welcome, boys. Finally, you guys have put all your shit aside and able to join the three of us for our first threesome here for the UFC show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Oh, I got up this time.
Yeah, got up out of the basement.
Craig's got to get my belt off his shoulder, man. I can't look at that thing the whole time.
You're gonna have to come and get it.
Craig is holding the title right now. Craig won he had the perfect picks, perfect card last week or last month on UFC 275. But me and Kenny are coming for that title right now. So before we get into the picks, boys, it is Dana White has said John Jones is ready. His next fight is it'll be either Stipe or it's gonna be Francis Ngannou. Who knows when we're gonna see that fight? There's no clear cut when we're seeing that fight, but who would you guys rather see? John Jones versus Stipe for the interim title, or John Jones versus Francis Ngannou, which I feel like that one's the further one away, just due to the fact that Francis is injured and we don't even know what the hell's going on with that contract situation. So, Kitty, go ahead, start us off here.
Yeah, I think as far as what fight do I want to see is whichever fight can happen first. You kind of mentioned, Francis is, who knows when he's coming back, probably not until next year. He wants to fight Fury first. Him and Fury have been going back and forth on Twitter. They both kind of said, like, early next year they want to fight. So Francis obviously has his priorities set on Fury. He said that. You might as well make Jones and Stipe. I mean, it's going to be a huge money fight. It's a very good interim belt fight. It's kind of the interim belt fight that makes sense. Stipe really almost kind of been disrespected a little bit, not getting a rematch kind of quicker. So put them out there. That's an interim belt that actually makes sense. It's not like the last one with Lewis and Gane that we all kind of knew was plastic. This is a good fight. I think if we can get Jones and Stipe this summer, I think we do it. I don't think there's any reason to wait for Jones and Francis if we can get Jones and Stipe now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. I mean, the Jones and Stipe fight has been in the making for a little while now. And we all know money drives this thing. And Ngannou and Fury have been talking about fighting. And I mean, Stipe and Jones, it's like two goats going at it, man. That's a big money fight for all ends of the UFC. I don't know why Dana White wouldn't be on top of it already. We've been waiting for this fight for over a year. And like you said, Francis is hurt, and Stipe, I mean, he's a goat of the division. He doesn't have anywhere to work his way. I mean, I feel like Jones and Stipe make it happen as soon as you can make it happen.
Yeah, I think the Jones and Stipe fight's the fight that happens first, just due to Francis. Now, you talked about Tyson Fury and Francis fighting. Now, Tommy Fury couldn't even get into the United States due to his passport. And it's linked to this dude in Ireland. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like a mob boss. But he's been connected to several different fighters in Europe, even Darren Till. It'll be interesting to see if the USA is going to let Tyson come to if they make that fight in Vegas. For if Tyson's allowed to come back to the United States, so that'll be interesting. That could be hang that fight up amongst a bunch of others, things that could nix that Ngannou Tyson fight, but. Jones, I mean, Craig, you said like two goats. That is two goats. That's probably the goat, and then the heavyweight goat going at it. We've been waiting for this fight for almost 2 years. A whole goddamn pandemic had happened, and it's pretty much ended now. And we're still waiting for this fight. We're still waiting for John Jones to fight. I mean, it seems like I was like 15 the last
That's
time.
been the holdup. I mean, we've been waiting on John Jones. So, if Jones is ready and Dana says he's ready to go, I mean, make it happen,
Who wins? Who wins, Craig? We're going to give you the pick 'em since you're the title belt holder right now. Who wins? We'll give you Jones Ngannou. Who wins that fight? And Jones Stipe. Who wins that fight?
Man, I haven't seen the guy fight and it feels like a decade, and I've never seen him fight at heavyweight, but fuck, how do you pick against John Jones? Just the John Jones we know and remember in the cage, his skill level is still better than Stipe. The only kicker against him is we haven't seen him, but I'm taking Jones against Stipe. Jones against Francis is a little bit different story. Because I haven't seen Jones at heavyweight, I haven't seen him in the cage. Francis hits like a fucking train, and in a 5-round fight, I'm going to take my chances of Francis catching Jones and being able to finish the fight. So if I've got to pick them right now, I'm taking Jones over Stipe. I'm taking Francis over Jones.
Kenny, I know you got a hard on for Francis, so who are you picking, Francis or Jones, or Jones and then Jones Stipe?
Well, Frankie and John, man, I don't even. You got to take Jones, right?
His new love.
I mean, you got to take John Jones. I think in every fight, until he shows us in the cage, all he's ever shown us is out of the cage, you can't pick him. But he's always shown us in the cage, you have to pick him. And I think that you tell me John Jones now doesn't have to cut weight. We've seen the pictures. We've seen he's bulked up. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see this new John Jones first, but I have to pick him against anybody until I don't. Until he proves this in the cage that there's a reason not to pick him.
The only people that have seen John Jones at heavyweight are the cops in Vegas. That's the only people that have seen him fight at heavyweights, the cops in Vegas. I like Stipe. Both of them guys, by the time Stipe fights him, if they do fight, it'd been over a year and a half since Stipe fought. Last time he fought, I was 34 years old. On my birthday, he fought, so I was dang near 33, turning 34. So here we are a year and a half later. Stipe, we haven't seen Stipe fight either. So either one of them, obviously I like Stipe's ground game, but I would probably take John Jones. I think John Jones would be the favorite if that fight happens. And then with Francis, again, like Craig kind of nailed it. Francis has got that, truck train power, and he showed us in his last fight, hey man, he can actually take people to the ground and wrestle. Surprisingly. And I thought Ciryl Gane was not John Jones-esque. Like, he's just the fighting style, like the way he could fight at heavyweight would be a John Jones type. But I think obviously Jones would be better on the ground than Ciryl Gane would be. I would almost take Francis in that fight, but I mean, like you said, Kenny, the only time it's hard to pick against John Jones because he's proved time and time again that he's legit. The only time he loses is off, outside of the octagon. All right, boys. So let's go ahead and let's start knocking out UFC 276 tonight. The first fight on the card. I like this card was supposed to be on the prelims, which I thought it was funny because O'Malley called him prelim Pedro, and then they were going to be on the prelims. And then because the Miesha Tate, maybe it's because the Miesha Tate was off. I don't know, or they either bumped up Robbie Lawler. It was weird because I've seen several different way that cards was going, and it looked like Sugar Show was going to be on the prelims, but it is the first fight on the card. Pedro Munoz, he's 19-7. He's plus 240. He's lost kind of the who's who in the bantamweight division. He's lost to Dominic Cruz. He's lost to Jose Aldo his last few fights. Lost to Frankie Edgar. Lost to Aljamain Sterling. So he's fought some big guys. Does have a win over Cody Garbrandt. He's lost his last two. Really lost his last 4 out of his last 6 here. And then against the Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's 15-1. He'd like to tell you he's 16-0. He is minus 300, closing out at minus 300 when I looked at the odds this morning. So, Craig, again, we're going to go to you because you're the champ. Who do you like in this fight, and how do you see it going?
I'm going with the odds here. I'm taking O'Malley in this fight. Like you said, Munoz, I believe if my math is right, he's lost 4 out of 5, and he's losing to guys like Frankie Edgar, who hasn't been beating anybody either. Sean O'Malley is 15-1, man. The only time we've seen him lose, he got hurt, and since he's been back from his injury, he looks like the same Sugar Show that he looked like before. So I have no reason to bet against him against a guy like Pedro Munoz. I think O'Malley's I'm gonna pick him with a KO in the second round. I mean, I think he's gonna surprise everybody and show that he belongs climbing these ranks and belongs fighting the best guys in the world, that he's just better than Pedro Munoz. I know it's a step up from a lot of guys we've seen him fight before, but I think he's going to handle him.
Kenny, what's your thoughts?
Second round knock. Oh, sorry, but I didn't mean to walk on
you. What's your thoughts here?
Well, I don't know about the second round knockout. I am going to pick Sugar, but I think it's a decision fight. I think that his first ranked fighter, I think he's going to kind of maybe respect Munoz almost too much for the first at least round and a half, kind of feel each other out. Munoz is a tough out too, man. I think it's a fight that O'Malley does win by decision, probably 30-27, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to put him out. I think Munoz is a little too crafty for that, a little too smart to kind of get knocked out, but I'm going to take O'Malley over Munoz for sure.
I believe Munoz has never been knocked out also.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't. He's a tough out. And Sugar we know has that knockout power. I almost see it going like that fight against, not his last fight, was that kid with the green ass hair that was just like, he just would not go down. And I mean, it was like freaking O'Malley's just punching his face and punching his brains in. It was like 300 hits to the head. And the guy just still wouldn't go down. I kind of see it going like that. Maybe not as bad or as brutal as that, because Munoz will be more offensively, I think. But Sugar can just keep people at a distance with his length, especially at bantamweight at 135. It's just so tough because he's so tall and lanky. I mean, you look at the guy and you're just like, how is this guy even fighting at bantamweight? Because he's just he's like staying near 6 foot tall, lanky kid. I do like the Sugar Show as well. I'm locking it in, boys. I'm hammering home the Sugar Show on opening up the card for us tonight at minus 300. I like the Sugar Show. So that concludes. And then we have kind of a pick'em here. Robbie Ruthless Lawler. Let me tell you, boys, the former champ has not looked so good. He has only won 2 fights since since he lost the title back to Woodley way back in July of 2016 at UFC 201. So that just shows you what kind of run Robbie Lawler has not been on. The last time we saw Robbie Lawler, him and Nick Diaz looked like 2 drunk uncles at the family barbecue. He's taken on Brian Barberena. He's 17-8, but and Brian I looked at Brian. He hasn't really hasn't really beat anybody, but he has won his last 2 fights. The odds kind of have this as a pick'em fight, which I probably do as well. So Craig, in this pick'em, who you picking?
Man, this one is tough because, I mean, like you said, the last time we saw Robbie Lawler, he didn't look like he's going to beat anybody except for maybe Nick Diaz. But the last time that Brian Barberena fought, I believe, was against another 40-year-old Matt Brown, and he barely won that fucking fight by decision. So if there's one thing a 40-year-old drunk uncle that used to fight a lot in his 20s might be able to do is catch you with one in the backyard, you know. So Robbie Lawler has a chance to win this fight. But in the pick'em, I'm going against him. I mean, the last time we saw him fight, man, I can't pick Robbie Lawler to win it, so I'm gonna go with Brian Barberino to win by a decision.
So before we have a comment here real quick before we get to your Kenny, Chris Landis said Pedro for president, no luck on locks. So he's Landis is going ahead and he's going to start the night out 0-1. It sounds like. All right, Kenny, who you got? You taking old man Robbie Lawler, or you taking Manarino or Barberino?
Well, I don't know who Manarino is, so I'm not going to pick him. But I am going to take Barberino over Lawler. Kind of like Craig said, man. I mean, when Lawler and Diaz fought, dude, it was ugly. Like, both of them dudes looked like they needed to quit, and Lawler thanked Nick Diaz for getting him excited about fighting again. He did not look excited about fighting during that fight. So, I mean, he did look much better than Nick Diaz for whatever that means. But it's hard for me to take the old man. Like, I mean, it really is a toss-up. It's a who cares, but I also think that if you're gonna put Lawler on the main card, Dana's gonna give Lawler a win. I think that's just kind of the way it goes, and that's probably gonna piss Barberino off. He's a little younger, so I'm gonna take the kid.
Yeah, I'm kind of, again, I think we're all kind of in agreement here. Robbie Lawler's just been in too many wars, man. Too many wars, too many battles. I mean, it's just time for Robbie. I think time to hang it up. I mean, he's been in some of the toughest. If you type in UFC wars, Robbie Lawler's name's going to pop up 2 or 3 different times. I mean, we've seen his face freaking, half cut off damn near. I'd be excited too if I fought Nick Diaz and in that fight, I'm like, oh man, I can beat anybody. If Nick Diaz quit. I mean, literally just kind of quit after Robbie punched him 3 times and was like kind of broke his nose. And he was like, I don't want to fucking do this, Nora. It literally was like 2 drunk uncles at the barbecue. The difference is I don't think Brian's coming to be drunk at the uncle at the barbecue. He's coming to try to maybe make a little name for himself here to get a win over the former champ. So I don't think he's going to knock it out, Robbie. I think he's going to win and pretty much a decisive decision, unanimous decision here. So locking it in for Mr. Brian Barberino. Locking it in here. We're all on Mr. Brian Barberino. All right. This one was a pick 'em, but when I picked up the odds this morning, when I looked it up, we got Sean Strickland 25-3. He's minus 155 here. He's won his last 6 fights pretty much since he's went to middleweight, has not lost, has looked really good against Alex Pereira, who I mean he's 5-1, 2-0 in the UFC. Now here's why Alex gets this shot here. This is the number 1 contender fight for the middleweights. This is why he's knocked out Izzy, beat Izzy twice, knocked him out. This was kickboxing, obviously not inside of the cage, but that's why everybody's high on Alex. As are you guys, Craig? Are you taking the big scary Brazilian, as Sean Strickland likes to call him? Are you taking Psycho Sean Strickland, as I like to call him? Who are you picking in this one?
So Sean Strickland has been on a roll, and he seems like a scary dude. He's playing a great character, and these guys usually, I mean, climb the ranks, get to title fights. But this fight is kind of scary because Sean Strickland isn't going to try to out-wrestle this kickboxer and keep him on the ground and get it to a decision, I don't think. I think if he does, then he's going to win the fight, but I think Sean Strickland's going to be the kind of aggressive Sean Strickland, working his jab like we've seen a lot. And this Alex Pereira kid seems like he's got the skills to catch him with one, man. He seems like he's a good counter. He's obviously a great kickboxer. And I watched both the fights where he fought Adesanya, man. And, I mean, the kid is a striker. And, I mean, he seems pretty good. So Strickland's coming in with a lot of confidence. I mean, everybody saw him at the press conference just talking shit, I mean, all over the place. And this one scares me for him, man. I'm going to take Alex Pereira to kind of catch him 1 or 2 shots that are going to change the fight, I believe. And I'm going to take Alex Pereira to win the fight.
Kenny, who are you taking here?
So Sean Strickland almost changed my mind this morning. I watched a couple more videos from the press conference. That son of a gun is a master on the microphone. and he really just about got me. He brought up something. He said Pereira is not a good striker. He said he has God gifted genetics, and he can punch you in the face from 30 feet away. He said, but he's not a good striker. He's not a good fighter. And I thought, man, is he right? So I went back and I watched Alex Pereira's last 2 fights. And Sean Strickland is exactly what you say. He's psycho Sean Strickland. That motherfucker does not know what he's talking about. Because Pereira, he can punch you from 30 feet away, but he'll also throw a flying knee at you from this close, and he will knock you the fuck out. So I do think that, I mean, I kind of said it in group, man. Strickland, he's a decision fighter. You know how I am about picking finishers. Pereira's a finisher. He is on a mission. I've said that too. He's on a mission to get back to Izzy. Strickland, man, he's got this idea in his head that Dana's trying to set Pereira and Izzy up. And I think he's crazy. Like, yeah, Strickland had to go through Hermanson and Pereira didn't, but it's striker on striker. That should make Strickland like his dick should get hard over that. You know what I mean? Like, he should be ready to go for a striker match and not have to kick off takedowns and everything else like he did against Jack. So I think it should be a better fight for Strickland, but he kind of seems like he's almost in his own head this time, man. Pereira just seems like he's a big, scary Brazilian because those dudes don't give a shit about nothing but punching you in the face. So I'm going to take him. I'm not going to I won't take him to knock him out, but I will take him to win.
So we got it. Before I make my comment, we got to hear guy by Dan Harris is just saying, great show guys. As Nick knows, I don't know much about UFC, but want to show support. I shared on Twitter and as well. Hope you're doing well. Dan, appreciate it. Everything that you're doing. Everybody go check out Let's Talk Sports. Check out their network. Great things over there. I'm always over there on Saturdays as well. So make sure you hit over to Let's Talk Sports. Make sure you guys are following everything that my guy Dan's out there putting out. Big following there for Let's Talk Sports. So make sure you guys are checking him out. So this is where we disagree, boys. I believe the experience in the cage, fighting guys like Hermanson and those type of guys, this is where Sean Strickland's going to be able to draw from that. And I like Sean Strickland, and just for the simple fact that Sean has got more experience. Alex Pierre, who's he beat in the UFC? I'm waiting. You guys got a name? Give me a name. That's right. You don't have a name. You don't have anything. You don't have a resume. The only thing everybody goes back to is he beat Izzy twice, and Izzy, you know, in the kickboxing, and that was a freaking dang near a decade ago, it seems like. So I'm sticking with my boy Psycho Sean Strickland here. I love Sean Strickland. I mean, he's crazy. This character, this heel character that he's building up, the shit he says. I mean, he gave it to Izzy on the microphone. And by God, that's the fight I want to see. Izzy versus Sean Strickland. I could watch press conference of Sean just talking shit on Izzy's addiction to cartoon porn all day, all year, because the shit's hilarious to me. Telling Izzy he's not going to get beat up by a guy who watches cartoon anime porn and paints his fingernails. Sean Strickland just reminds me of the good old cold-blooded American fighter, man. Just the way he even fights. It's that old school style, I feel like. He's got the jab. I like Sean Strickland in a decision. Kenny says he's a decision fighter, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Strickland knocks him out just to get that knockout power. But I'm not putting money on it. But I'm taking Sean Strickland. Lock it in, boys. Bodkins is going somewhere different here. This is where I win it. This is where I take the title. This title, Sean Strickland's going to bring me the title home because I'm taking Sean Strickland. Lock it in. Hammer it home. Sean Strickland's bringing me the title. All right. Ah, shit. Dropped my water. Got excited. All right. So now we have the co-main event, which arguably could be the main event. We have Alex Volkanovski, the featherweight champion, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, versus arguably the other greatest featherweight of all time, mixed in with Jose Aldo here. But Alex Volkanovski, 24-1, 20 wins in a row. 20 wins in a row, never lost in the UFC. He's closing in at minus 125 versus Max Blessed Holloway, who's 23 and 6. He's closing out at plus 105. Obviously, Max has won his last 2 fights to get back to here. This is the third time we fought. The first time Volkanovski won that decision. And then the second time, we could probably all go back and rewatch it again. In fact, we were all watching it at the house here, but I don't really remember watching it because I had too many drinks that night. But I went and watched it. I mean, you still couldn't tell me who won that fight either time. So, Craig, who are you taking? Is it Ann Still or Ann New when we tonight in this featherweight division?
Well, boys, this is where I lock in my dog of the week because I'm taking Ann New. I'm taking my boy Max Holloway to get the belt from Volkanovski. Like you said, the last time we fought, man, the fight was, it was close. And the thing that worries me right now for Volk is that he's looking at lightweight belts. He's looking at GOAT fights. He's kind of looking outside of the division at other things right now. And Max Holloway is, I feel like Volk knows how tough that fight is. He's fought him twice already. Not that he's not going to be prepared for Max, but I think Max is hungry. And I think tonight it is Ann New. I'm going Max Holloway over Volkanovski.
Kitty, I saw that look on your face when Craig said Max Holloway. I'm guessing you're going the other way.
Well, it was a look of just confused joy. I'm so happy that belt's going to be coming home where it belongs. It just makes me happy to know that there will be a new champ after tonight. Bro, you're crazy. And this is why you're crazy. It's going to be Ann Still, and it's going to be Ann Still for the next 3 or 4 fights that Volk has to fight in the 145 division. Because at the end of the day, Max can bring the same exact thing he brought the last 2 times. He's going to bring a bunch of volume, 0 knockout power, and Volk's already shown he can handle that. So if you've already beat Max version 1 and beat Max version 2, and Max version 3 is the exact same Max, guess what? Volk's going to win that motherfucker too.
I think Max has gotten better since their last 2 fights. I think he's leaps and bounds beyond better than the first fight. He's improved. I think he's fought the tougher of the talent. Max did.
Calvin Cater's a tougher win than Brian Ortega.
No,
they give you a show. They let you have a show on here. You said Brian Ortega's an easier out than freaking Calvin Cater.
I'm telling you, Brian Ortega's the better fighter.
Well, yeah, that's why Volk's had the tougher. I thought you were saying Holloway's had the tougher.
No. I'm saying Ortega's fought the tougher of the talents since their
Volk, man, dude. All Holloway's done is fight a bunch of dudes who want to stand up and bang with him, and you can't do that with a dude who can hit you from an extra 8 inches away and throw volume and never get tired. And that's all Holloway's done. He's the same dude. He's got 0 knockout power. He has no chance to win besides decision, and you're not going to out decision Volk.
I'm 100% agreement. That's what I'm in agreement with you there. That's what I'm trying to say is that I think Volkanovski is better, leaps and bounds better since their first fight, better since their second fight, and I haven't really seen any improvements from Max. Like, it's still the same Max Holloway that we've always gotten. A great fighter. I'm not taking anything away from Max Holloway, but there's levels to this shit. And Alex Volkanovski is on his way to being the GOAT of the featherweight division and possibly champ. We'll talk a little bit of that tomorrow if he wins tonight, because he's talked about going to get that lightweight champ from Charles. I know Kenny's got a huge heart on for Charles, but so he's already shaking his head. But I think Volk could. It'd be that'd be an interesting fight, and we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow if Volk wins, because we always talk about what's next for everybody. But I like Volkanovski. In fact, lock it in. This is my lock. This is the lock for Bodkins here. Lock it in. The lock of the night. Alexander Volkanovski beating Max Holloway via decision, probably so, because let's face it, Max has never been knocked out either, knocked down, so that'll be interesting too. Volk is going to try to do that. He says he's going to try to do that, but Volk's smarter. He's not going to go out there and just overexert himself to try to knock out Holloway for the highlight reel. He's not going to do that. He's smart. And one thing about Volkanovski too is this guy he's a smart in-game fighter. He can change his the direction of the fight. His what's not program, but game plan. That's the word I'm looking for. He can change his game plan and take a lot of reads. I like Volkanovski in this fight. I like and still and my lock. So Craig has already given up the title here. Craig, you might as well just drive it over to my house here. And still my lock for the night, Andrew, the great Volkanovski. All right, so now it's our main event. The main event here, we have Izzy, the last style bender, Adesanya. 22-1. The only only fight he's ever lost in the UFC is when he jumped up to take on the 205 belt, which he didn't even put any muscle on. I mean, I think he weighed in at like 185 in that fight. So it just kind of shows you he's at minus 490 versus Jared Cannonier. Jared's only lost one fight really since he became the middleweight, and that was to Bobby Knuckles. And but Cannonier, big money. I mean, plus 370 if he wins. So it'd be a huge upset here. Outside of the O'Malley fight, this is the biggest, odds on this card. So Craig, are you taking Ann Steele or Ann New here? I mean, your picks are real shaky, so I feel pretty comfortable going forward here.
Listen, man, I like Jared Cannonier. Everybody knows I'm a huge Bobby Knuckles fan. But there's a reason that this fight is plus 300 or more, man, because Izzy Adesanya is that motherfucker. And I just don't think that there's anybody in that division. I mean, Bobby Knuckles has showed that he can handle everybody in that division so far that they've put his way. And every time he gets a shot at Izzy, man, he's come up short. And I mean, he fought a good fight last time. I think Cannonier kind of maybe comes with a similar game plan, but you got to see that you can't just try to go shot for shot, picking Izzy apart and get it to a decision. I mean, you're never going to win that way. But man, Adesanya is too good. I mean, you can't pick against him. It's almost like how we were talking earlier about John Jones. You don't pick against that dude, man. You just don't pick against Izzy Adesanya. Somebody got to beat him before I'm ever going to pick against that guy.
Kenny, I see you shaking your head here.
Yeah, no, I agree with him. So I do have it even written down. I got Izzy on upset alert, though. Okay, so I am going to take Izzy to win. Like, it is going to be Ann Still, but Cannonier is going to be better at taking Izzy down than Rob was. And Rob was able to get Izzy to his butt. Now, he wasn't able to keep him there. Izzy was able to get up pretty easily. But Cannonier is a much bigger, stronger guy. Now, that's why I almost went pure Tyler Santos on it, man. I almost jumped off the edge and picked Jared. And then I went back and I watched the Cannonier-Brunson fight. Man, Brunson had Cannonier hurt twice. Had him hurt twice before he kind of almost just fell on him and then beat him down with elbows, and that's kind of how Cannonier ended up in this spot. Bora, let me tell you something. Derek Brunson's winning the stand-up battle with you. You ain't trying to get in the cage with Izzy. And so I just think that Izzy keeps him at distance, and he doesn't really let him get his hands on him. And it's going to be Ann Still. I think it's going to be a decision win. I think Izzy's going to have to fight a smart fight. But, he's shown, like, he fought Vettori. Vettori tried to take him down a million times, could never do it. Rob wasn't able to keep him down. And Bobby Knuckles made Jared Cannonier look pretty bad whenever they fought a year and a half ago. So it's hard for me to pick. Kind of like Craig said, too, man, you ain't picking against Izzy until someone shows you why. And until it's Pereira next time, I'm going to have to stick with Izzy this time.
So it's not going to be. It's going to be Sean Strickland, but I'm kind of with you guys. I think we're all in agreement here. Here's the thing: is like, really Brunson just he looked fatigued after he almost I think it was the second round or something like that. It was just like, but yeah, I mean Brunson was kind of winning that fight. Hurt Cannonier a couple times there. And Derek Brunson's not a striker; he's the wrestler of the group of where the three guys we're talking about here. And I like and he hurt Cannonier a couple times, and then it just seemed like Brunson just like gassed out. It was like he thought it was only like a 1-round fight or something, and then Jared was able to take advantage of him and just kind of maul him down and beat him pretty bad. Now, I mean, Cannonier's a big son of a bitch. I mean, ain't no doubt about it. He is a huge guy. I mean, looks bigger than Izzy, looks stronger than Izzy. But here's the thing: Izzy's one of the best counter punchers, counter fighters in the world. in the UFC, in any weight class. Technically, well, I'll ask this question after we get done here. But I like Izzy. It's going to be Ann Still. I think Izzy gets up for guys he's never faced too. I mean, he's never faced Cannonier. I think he kind of gets bored when he fights guys that he's already beat. He said so much as Vittori when he beat him the second time. Kind of with he had to be smart with Bobby because Bobby is probably the second greatest middleweight in this, in the UFC, probably in the world as well. And if you can't beat Bobby Knuckles, we always say this: if you can't beat Bobby Knuckles, there's no way you're beating Izzy. So again, lock it in. It's Ann Still, Izzy Adesanya. So Kitty, I didn't hear you. So before I'm going to ask one more question, but
Yep.
Craig, I heard you say your dog is Max Holloway. So who is your lock of the night?
Yeah, I didn't lock him in, but my lock of the night is the Sugar Show. So I got the Sugar Show as my lock, and I got my boy Max Holloway as my dog.
All right. So Kenny, who's your lock of the night and dog of the night?
Dog of the night is Pereira over Strickland. I know it's not quite the odds I like to pick for my dog of the night, but especially kind of makes me feel a little worse picking him now that it's 2-1 here with me and Craig both picking Pereira. But I'm going to take Pereira over Strickland for my dog, and I'm going to take Volk over Holloway for my lock as well. I hate to piggyback off you, but I already had it written down before you said it, I promise.
All right. So again, if you're just you get 1 point for each pick, you get 2 points for your dog and 2 points for your lock, folks. So it's a total of 7 total, or what's that? 5, 7, 9 points, I think. I don't know. My math sucks. Crocker should have done a better job of teaching me. So I didn't give my dog. So my lock is Alex Volkanovski. Now here I went off the main card here, and my dog of the night. I'm a cowboy, baby. Yeah. I'm taking Cowboy Cerrone as my dog on the prelims. Plus 160 for Cowboy. Him and old man Jim Miller, 2 old heads going at it. I actually kind of like the fight. It's a rematch fight, but just 2 old guys, nostalgia purposes only. Both Jim Miller's been on a decent run here. I mean, a better run than Cowboy. Cowboy hasn't won a fight, it feels like, in ages, but this is it. I'm going the Cowboy. He's been wanting to fight, it seems like, the last 3 months here, and he's finally on a damn card, ready to fight. Let's hope it doesn't. It's finally going to happen here on short notice. This is when Cowboy's the most dangerous. Short notice fight. For nostalgia reasons, my dog is the Cowboy, Donald Cerrone. So I'm taking Donald Cerrone as my dog. Lock it in, folks. Lock it in, Cowboy. One last ride here. We're going. The Cowboy's bringing me home for the championship. All right. I got to ask one more question here, and we'll kind of get out here on this. So we got arguably pound for pound here. We didn't talk about this when we talked about Max Holloway and Volkanovski. I mean, Max Holloway pound for pound is like number 6. And then Volk is number 3. Adesanya is number 2. Who's your guys? Is this Usman? Even though we haven't seen him this year, is Usman still the pound for pound? Or if Izzy wins or Volk wins, do they move up to 1? Or how does that pound per pound shake up here for you gentlemen after going in tonight? Craig, close us out here.
I mean, to me, Usman's still the pound for pound champ. I mean, we haven't seen him lose a fight or have any reason to not be the pound for pound champ. I know if Izzy wins, and I mean, if Volk wins, I mean, I'm picking against Volk. I like Max. Max is one of the goats of that division, like you said. But another win over Max, I don't think that puts Volk over Usman on the pound for pound list. Izzy, you've got an argument, but to me, Usman, I mean, if he's the pound for pound champ, he's a pound for pound champ until we see him lose or until he's out. I mean, for a little bit longer. I mean, I know it's been a little while since we've seen Usman, but the last time and every time we've seen Usman, I mean, he's looked great.
Kenny?
Yeah, I think it's Usman for me too. Now there is a little more argument, I think, because the last 4 times we've seen Usman, it's been against the same 2 people. So I think that that's going to play into it. You keep getting rematches, but I would say that out of all the champs that we've talked about, Usman's the one that looks to be evolving each fight. You know, people said for a long time that he didn't have stand-up power, and then he knocked out Gilbert Burns, and then he put Jorge out when no one's ever been able to. And I think you've kind of seen that Usman decided, like, well, I'm not just going to be the best wrestler and just keep the belt. I'm going to be the best overall fighter, and I'm going to be the guy. And I think that he is the guy. I think that Izzy, I mean, Izzy's right there. You know, Izzy's two for me. I think that Izzy was one for me for a long time. You know, until Usman kind of beat Jorge the way he did, and then turned around and knocked him out. I think it was still Izzy for me. But you just kind of look at, you know, Izzy's kind of fought some rematches. You look at the way that Izzy's fought, and it's like, well, you didn't really beat Vittori. Vittori didn't belong there. You know, Costa didn't belong there. You fought a bunch of dudes that him and Romero was a boring fight. So there's arguments against kind of everybody. There's arguments for everybody. Volk, man, the way he looked against Ortega, being able to come back, he straight up said in the press conference, they said, how deep was it? He said, oh, fuck, I'm about to lose my belt deep. You know, and he fought his way out of that. I think there's arguments for him. You could kind of say that the resume doesn't really stack up to be the pound for pound GOAT, you know, because he's kind of fought the same dudes ish. You know, Korean Zombie wasn't really supposed to be there. That kind of just happened, and he made him look like he wasn't supposed to be there. So there's arguments, but it's Usman for me too, and I'll take Izzy too, and then I'll take Volk 3, kind of no matter what happens tonight, I think.
I I think uh so I think tonight, if Vulcan to me, I know it's to be the third time him Max Holloway fought, but when you're fighting a guy that's in the pound per pound list, as he is tonight, and beat him 3 times, I think that kind of would almost give you the bump here. We just haven't seen Usman since what, November, I think, when he beat Colby Covington, and you know, like you said, he the last, like, it seems like his last, I guess, 4 of his last 5 fights, Usman's really just rematched. He fought Usman, or he fought Jorge twice. He did knock out Burns. He's beaten Covington twice. You know, both of those. In Usman, we just haven't seen Usman, so it's almost like you almost forget him, because I'm not saying I forgot about him. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I need to see the guy fight again, especially with this broken hand, and see how it works. You know, hopefully that's healed, and he's getting ready to fight Leon Rocky Edwards. So I think if Volkanovski wins tonight, you'd have even a better case. And then if obviously he becomes champ, which I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's probably likely to happen here, that he would definitely be the #1 guy. That's a different argument for tomorrow if Volkanovski wins. But I'm just
No.
high
It's
on
not a different argument for tomorrow. Hold on. It's not a different argument for tomorrow. You can't say that you think Alexander Volkanovski is going to beat Charles Oliveira on live stream and then say we'll talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about that right now.
No, that's a teaser for tomorrow to get folks come in tomorrow, man. This show business, baby.
Well, I don't know if you're going to get me back tomorrow. You're going to say some crazy shit like that.
Hey, you got a hard on for some guys. I got a hard on for some guys. You know what I mean? And I think Volkanovski's just continued to evolve. The way he is, and
I agree, but I think if he wants to be champ, he should be looking down, not up. I don't think Oliveira is the way to go. I think you go down and you beat Aljo or Jan Dillashaw, however that whole fucking 3-way ends up going down in the next year and a half. I think that's the fight you go look for. I don't think you try to go up. You go up, you're fighting 170 dudes that are fighting down at 155, which I know that Bolt came down from fucking light heavyweight, but don't do that shit to yourself, man. You're a little guy. Just go down and fucking wax dudes.
Yeah, but it's easier just, you know, to cut. I mean, the weight cuts, and when you get older and things like that, that's what it comes down to. I know you're always saying going down, but I don't see your big ass fucking cutting down to, you know, 185 right now in 2 weeks either, you know. So
listen, Dana shows up and says, I'll give you $250,000 to go get your ass knocked out. I'll be fucking 185 in 2 weeks, bro.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Amen to that. So, hey, we're gonna recap here. So we're all on Sugar Sean. That's Craig's lock of the night. We're all on Brian Barberina. Then I'm on Sean Strickland. You two are on Alex Pierre. That's Kenny's dog of the week. Me and Kenny are Alex locks are Alex Volkanovski, and that's our locks of the week. Craig is taking the upset in his dog. Is that your dog, right, Craig? Max Holloway? Craig's dog, and so that's gonna be is Max Holloway. We're all on Izzy, and I got the Cowboy as my dog of the week. So that's our recap here. Before we get out, big announcement. We have currently 41 subscribers on the YouTube. If we get to 50, folks, if you get to 50, so anybody that's watching this not on the YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, go to Twitter, hit the subscribe button. We get to 50, we're gonna do a giveaway, a t-shirt, our first ever giveaway here at the Bodkin Show. It's gonna be a t-shirt with the logo on it. We're gonna get that made and sent that out to all 50 of not all 50 of our subscribers, but one of our 50 subscribers. I'm not that rich. We don't get paid for this shit yet. But somebody will get a free t-shirt. First ever giveaway here at the Bodkin Show. So get to like and get to share. And we get to 50 subscribers, we will give out our first ever giveaway, our first ever made the Bodkin Show t-shirt, and never been made yet. So get that in, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be on Let's Talk Sports here at 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 Eastern. Me and Tanner of the Sports Buffoons are going to be on there. You can catch me and Tanner every Monday as well on the Sports Buffoon channels, Bodkins and the Buffoons. Also, we'll be back, us three, hopefully, if Kenny doesn't lose money on gambling tonight and his wife allows him to come back in, as long as they don't have, couples counseling and divorce court tomorrow. Us three will be back. Craig will be back as long as he's not locked in some hooker's basement again. We're going to find out when I get to be the new champ at the UFC 276 when I come with that belt. Craig, you might as well just hand that belt over. We saw your Max Holloway picking here.
Max is going to keep the belt with me. He's taking the belt home with him, and he's keeping the belt with me.
That'll be the fight. I mean, those two fights, it seems like the Sean Strickland Alex Pierre fight and Holloway Volkanovski. That'll be who wins the title here.
You picked that Sean, bro. The fuck karma's on my side.
I kind of thought I was going to be on an island on both those picks.
You didn't see it. Oh, you're not in group enough, man. I've been on prayer all week.
We'll see. I kind of I like the fight. Let me ask you this. One last question here. Fight of the night. Who you guys taking as the fight of the night right now?
I'm gonna take Vulcan Max, man. Vulcan Max Part 3. I'm gonna take as fight of the night.
Yeah, I think Vulcan Max is the easy favorite. I think up front, just because there's going to be a lot of volume, there's going to be action. This is the third time we've seen this, and they've not been a boring fight yet. But Strickland and Pereira, man, dark horse for fight of the night. If that fight ends up going to decision, that's two big, long strikers, tough guys that I think that's going to battle for fight of the night as well.
I think that's going to be a great fight.
I'm kind of with Kenny on that too. I think if it goes I think sometimes when it's 3 rounds, you just get more action. You know what I mean? You don't get that feeling out process. It's I gotta win now. So I think the 3 rounds will favor the Pereira and Strickland fight. And I think that both those guys know, hey, they win this fight, it's probably a shot at Izzy. Because they're the new bloods of the middleweight division, that 2 guys that he hasn't fought. I mean, he's already fought everybody else, all these other contenders. There's kind of rumors floating around. I've seen people say if what's his name, former champ, he's about to fight Pablo Costa. Luke Rockhold thinks it would come to me. If Luke Rockhold, he could maybe enter that conversation if he beats Pablo Costa, but I think Luke Rockhold's got to win a couple more, at least 2 more before he gets Izzy.
Beat somebody who's had Costa. I mean, what the hell has he done?
Absolutely not. Fought at 205. Drank a bunch of wine. So again, I appreciate y'all coming on, folks. Hit over to the YouTube, subscribe. Free t-shirt. If we get to 50 subscribers, we'll do a drawing for our all 50 subscribers, and we'll give one lucky winner free t-shirt of the first ever Bodkin Show t-shirt. We'll hopefully all 3 be back tomorrow morning about 6:30. Somewhere around there, 6:30, in between 6:30 and 7. For our post show, we'll talk a little about who won. Craig will be handing over that belt to hopefully me, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll also talk a little bit about what's next for each fighter. We got one last comment here.
No, you don't.
Oh, well, Kenny's just saying the belt's coming home.
Why would you put that up there?
Coming home. The belt's coming home to me. The belt's coming home to me. That's the thing. That it's my belt. You know.
Now I got a spot for it next to the fantasy belt. Don't worry.
Craig's just borrowing it. It's on loan. It's on Craig's got it on loan.
It looks good on me, boys. I'm gonna keep it around.
All right, you guys. Appreciate y'all both coming on. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. Again, the YouTube comment section. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. 50 subscribers. We get to 50 subscribers. Free t-shirt. Free t-shirt for one of them 50 subscribers. All right. We'll catch you tomorrow. This has been another great episode of The Bodkin Show.